Hey, what's happening, guys? Kevin Yates here. I want to do a quick video today to talk about what the best squat to do for knee pain is. And, I know there's a lot of kind of information out there and videos out there, and you find everything on YouTube. They'll talk about kind of a almost like a one size fits all, right? So, if your knees hurt, then you do this squat, or you do, just this exercise. So I want to share a little bit about how to figure out which one is best for you. Because just because you have knee pain, it doesn't mean that you're going to need to do the same type of squat that like other people with knee pain would do. Everybody's a little bit different, and it really comes down to getting a really good understanding of why your knees are hurting every time you squat. The biggest misconception, I always talk about this, is to blame the exercise. So if I squat and my knee hurts, I start to think that squatting's bad for my knees and I don't squat anymore. The problem is that squats are a part of everyday life. It's a movement that we need to be able to do because so many things in our everyday world require it. So we, instead of trying to avoid it and labeling the exercise as bad, what we have to do is really get an understanding. It's not the exercise that's bad for us, it's the execution. It's something in the way that we're performing the exercise that's making the knee hurt. So what we want to do is get a clear idea, and from that will lead us into understanding which squat will be the best for us to do if we have knee pain. So the first thing you want to do is assess your squat pattern, okay? This is a movement pattern, and we want to assess what's happening when we squat. So the key things that we're going to look at, and you either have the best way to do this because you can't see it while you do it, and you only have feel. And a lot of times what we feel, and what we imagine how we're performing it isn't always what we think it is. The best way is to have somebody videotape you, or to set up a camera, kind of like what I do here. Set up a camera. You want two angles. You want to look at yourself squat from the front, and you want to look at yourself squat from the side. From the side, you're going to see your mobility, how well your body and your joints are moving. When you look from the front, you're going to see stability a lot better. You're going to see what's happening, how stable your body is while you're squatting. So what we're looking at are some key things. When you squat down, you want to look at your heels, okay? Start there. Do your heels stay on the ground, or do they lift off? A lot of times when people squat down, their heels are lifting off the ground, and that is a major, major problem, and one of the reasons why knees can hurt, okay? I won't get into all the specifics of why the heels come up. There's a lot of different things that could be going on. And right now, all you want to do is just get an idea of what's happening while you're moving, okay? The second thing you want to look at is your knees. So this is one that you really want to look at. You can look at from the side just to see how much movement you have in your knees. How well do your knees move? Can you get to parallel in your squat? Like where, you're squatting about down to here, hips and knees are in a straight line, or even a little bit below. Like where is your squat at? Or do you struggle even getting to parallel? Are you stuck somewhere in here? So getting an idea of that. Looking from the front, what do your knees do? Do your knees cave in like this? A lot of times when people squat down, their knees are buckling in like that. It's a huge red flag for a knee injury. See what they're doing, or do they stay lined up over your feet, okay? Then you want to look at your hips. Again, how well do your hips move? When you look from the front, do they shift off to the side? Do you have too much movement back here, right? Or do you have hips that are stuck and moving forward when you squat? A lot of times this happens with people. The hips and knees move forward, and it's a big, big reason why a lot of times the knees get stressed out and you end up with knee pain. Then you want to look at the shoulders. What are the shoulders doing? Especially from the side here. Is your shoulders and upper back doing this? I should say shoulders and upper back. Here's a common posture we have nowadays because we're driving, sitting at computers, doing all this stuff in front of us. We end up like this and we squat down and wonder why things like knee pain and back pain and shoulders and all this and neck problems start to happen. So you really want to look at those key things and get an idea of what's happening. So now once you have that, the first thing you could do is line everything up. If your heels are lifting off the ground when you squat, glue them to the ground. If your knees are caving in, push them out a little bit so they're lined up over your feet. If your posture's here, just get really tall, pull your shoulders back. Correct the mistakes that you see in there, and then perform the squat and see if you can hold the position and hold those corrections while you're performing it. And if you can, does that change the pain? Are you able to squat now while holding that position without pain? If so, perfect. You solved the problem. Now, and from there, really, it's just a matter of testing out different squat variations, right? If you squat with, a front squat or a barbell on your back, or, even when you like deadlift, is there pain? Can you hold the corrections, right? And you only want to be using the squats, at least at this time, that you can hold the correct position, okay? So then, what if you can't? Then you try to correct or you can't correct it, what do we do? So here's 3 things that you can do, and these are just kind of things that will get you started. It's not an end-all, cure-all to every single problem because, again, there's a lot of things that are involved when we have pain and injuries. But the first thing is looking at the hips. So if you are the type of person that squats and your hips are doing this, you're going forward when you squat down. So obviously what we got to do is get you to squat by driving your hips back. One of the best tools you can use is a box. You do box squats where you stand, straddle the box, you're straddling the corner of it, and then what it's doing is you're pushing your hips back to the box and then coming back up. So it's a really good teaching tool for getting you to get the hips back where you need. You can also use deadlifts, right? Deadlift variations that will help you get your hips back. The other one, let's say you have the upper back posture, this kind of stuff. So one of the things you could do are goblet or front-loaded squats. Hold a weight up to your chest, and just with that weight, it's going to force you to get up tall and hold your trunk up and get yourself in a good posture with your upper back and particularly your thoracic spine, getting things all lined up while you squat. So those are a couple variations that you can do. I had one more in mind, and it's totally slipping my mind right now. What do we got? I had one more on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember it. Okay, so if you have limited hip mobility, if your hips feel kind of stuck when you come down, if they almost maybe they just feel like they won't move, they're a little bit stuck, they're kind of jamming or something like that, one of the things that you could try is a sumo stance, which is just where you take your feet and instead of having them about shoulder width, you can go a little bit wider than your shoulders. And you can experiment this one. Turn the toes slightly out and work on your squat pattern from there. Test that out. See if you can hold it well and if it changes, if there's less pain or no pain. And just play with the stance a little bit and see what happens. A lot of times a sumo squat can really, really help you out in terms of helping with knee pain. So those are just kind of a few ideas of how to choose the best squat for knee pain. Remember, not everybody's the same. So, what works for, a friend or somebody else that had knee problems, what works for them may not work for you. So you've got to kind of, do your own work, do your own investigating, right? Educate yourself, empower yourself so that you can understand your body and how to decide what's the right thing for your body. So that's how you choose your squat for knee pain. And if you have any questions in the meantime, type them in below. Until next time, take care of yourself and happy training.